Are you looking for a small community with big city amenities, access to wonderful food, attractions, let alone the natural beauty of northern Saskatchewan? Check out this week's episode as we chat to Mike Hidlebaugh, mortgage associate, as he explains the 7 great things about Nipawin, Saskatchewan.
This is the Saskatchewan Real Estate Podcast, the show that highlights Saskatchewan real estate. Looking to buy your first house, your next investment property? Subscribe to never miss an episode. Here's your host, Ron Caroni.
Hello and welcome back to the Saskatchewan Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Ron Caroni. Here on the podcast, we love to touch on all aspects of Saskatchewan real estate, whether that be hearing from an expert realtor about the Saskatoon market, getting some great market advice, or touching on great Saskatchewan communities. And that's exactly what we're doing here today. I'm joined by a good friend and mortgage associate, Mike Hidlebaugh. Mike, welcome to the Saskatchewan Real Estate Podcast.
Thanks a lot, Ron. I'm kind of honored to be doing this podcast on my hometown, Nipawin. Transplant to Warman now, but Nipawin's always in my heart.
Yeah, the tree shows Warman, but the roots are dug down in Nipawin. So I was really excited to have you on, Mike. I wanted to do this episode for a while, so I really appreciate you cutting out time out of your busy schedule to share about your hometown. Before we get into Nipawin, let's just give a little background on you, Mike, yourself as a mortgage broker, and kind of what you do.
Sure, I'll try not to be too long-winded. But yeah, I grew up in Nipawin. We moved there when I was 5. And I lived there in a lot of my adult years. We moved back to the Saskatoon area 4 years ago. My fiance Danielle and our daughter Lucy, she's 6. And at that time, I thought it'd be a good time for a career switch, and remembered how easy my mortgage broker made it. Chatted with him, and the rest is history. I'm loving my job, loving the flexibility, and loving people get into their dream homes.
Awesome. All right, let's get right into it, Mike. The things that make Nipawin an amazing place to live. And let's start off with number 1, the outdoors, golfing and fishing.
Yeah, thanks, Ron. The fishing and golfing in Nipawin, it's just top notch in the province. You got the Nipawin Evergreen Golf Course, right in Nipawin. It's generally ranked top 5 courses in Saskatchewan. I had the privilege of working at that golf course for 5 or 6 years in my teens and early 20s during university and whatnot, and just grew up at that course. And then you have Rolling Pines, which it's somewhat of a newer course, but it's becoming more established now, and it's about 15 minutes outside of Nipawin on the way to Tobin Lake, and it's just a beautiful 9-hole track. They're making another 9 holes. And it's locally owned. It was a local farmer who created it, and he's done a great job. It's beautiful, rolling, like the name suggests. Then of course you have fishing. You have the river system right outside of Nipawin, 2.5-minute drive outside of Nipawin. You have Cadet Lake, Tobin Lake, which actually holds a world record for walleye fish through the ice.
Wow.
Little known fact, it's a huge fish, and a beautiful fish. And then you're fairly close to the northern lakes, up the Hanson Lake Road. You got Lower Fishing, Little Bear. You got Canada Lake, which is not real far. So there's lots of lakes to be had in the area. Snowmobile trails, if that's what you enjoy. There's a ton of snowmobile trails around, cross country trails. And lastly, Wapiti Valley Ski Hill is only 30 minutes away. It's a beautiful, probably in my opinion, it's the most beautiful ski hill in Saskatchewan, and attracts people from all over the province as well.
It's not going to evoke images of going to Golden or these beautiful resorts in BC, but I grew up in Melfort, and when we would go to Wapiti, that was just the most amazing thing. Wapiti Valley is very beautiful. You got the river running through there. It's an amazing way to spend the day in the winter. So going back to Nipawin here, Mike, even though it is a smaller community, it does have some big city amenities. Let's touch on those.
Yeah, I would agree, definitely, Ron. It has a fairly large trading area. You have folks from Cumberland House, Red Earth, Shoal Lake, Sandon Park, Arborfield, Choiceland, Smeaton, White Fox, all these smaller towns and the farmers as well, that Nipawin's their primary trading area. So there's a good hospital there. You got the high school, 2 elementary schools. There's 3 car dealerships there, clothing stores, hardware stores, you name it, pharmacies, you have it, and all with the population, in that 4,000 mark, fluctuates a bit. And so your neighbors, everyone, but you also have these big city amenities.
And so kind of going back to winter activities, other than going to Wapiti and doing ice fishing, it's good to have something to go to a game to. Let's talk about the Nipawin Hawks at number 3.
Yeah, I was one of their biggest supporters growing up in Nipawin. I love that club, and I still do. There's a showcase in Warman every year where they play 2 games, and I make my way down there for sure for those games and try to get to a couple others. But yeah, they play they're a proud member of the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, I believe since 85, 86. They've won a couple championships in my era, 89, 90. So I would have been 9 years old, and what a feeling that was. I was the biggest fan at that point. And then more recently in 2017, 18, they won the league championship, and I was able to be at that game as well before we moved back to this area. And they play in a small arena, a really small arena. They call it the Cage, lovingly known as the Cage.
Rattle the Cage.
Yeah, and you won't find an atmosphere better. It's just small arenas, lots of people, and lots of noise. It's a great atmosphere.
I know you're a hockey guy, Mike. Just quickly expand upon the level of hockey that we have here, because someone might not be, they might not have an understanding of the junior league here. These are not just kids just messing around. These are near semi-pro hockey players moving their way up or expanding upon their hockey skills here.
Very true, Ron. So you're looking at those 17 to 20-year-olds, and there are a lot of Saskatchewan kids, but then you get kids from BC, Alberta, Manitoba, all across Canada, as well as the United States. And like you said, they're looking to further their hockey. It's considered a developmental league for sure. Lots of these kids go on to play either university hockey in Canada or the States. And some of them move on to semi-pro. There's even been the odd draft pick from the Hawks. And I believe there was a draft pick from the SJHL this year. Don't quote me on that. I think there was, but so there's a lot of talent there, a lot of skill, and it's kind of a gritty league compared to some of the other junior A leagues. So if you're into that style of hockey, you'll really enjoy it.
Awesome. And we got to feed those hockey players. So let's touch on the different food amenities in Nipawin.
Yeah, it's kind of wild to think the number of quality restaurants in such a small community, but it is kind of well known for them. You have the Dam Smokehouse, barbecue and smoked meat. You're not going to find a better spot in Saskatchewan. I've heard people drive from all over the province to go there. You have the Spot, which is right at the Evergreen Golf Course, and it's kind of a loungy type with fancy drinks and fun atmosphere and great food. You have Maple Hill, which is just a couple miles outside of Nipawin, and it's considered farm to fork. The chef there, he grows many of his own vegetables, and it's a unique menu. He's a somewhat famous chef from what I understand. So the menu is quite unique and very, very new to the Nipawin area, but people have really taken to it. And again, people drive from all over. And then you got the old Standby's Venice House, which I grew up going to.
Classic
my dad
restaurant. Everyone who grew up here, has been to a Venice House somewhere.
Totally. My dad was good friends with the owners, and my family continues to be good friends with them. And they're great people with great food, and you got Chicken Delight and Chinese food with Sunrise Cafe and Welcome Cafe and Wild Bill's, best pizza in Saskatchewan, definitely. And then you got all the not all the fast food restaurants, but there's quite a few fast food restaurants if that's what you want. But most importantly, the family bakery in Nipawin, it's the best small town bakery going, best bakery going. Their coconut long johns, Ron, if you've never tried one, you're definitely missing out because they are one of a kind.
The next time I go to Nipawin, I'll for sure check that out. So we've touched on restaurants, fishing, access to wonderful amenities. Now let's talk about some of the real estate in Nipawin. Someone's like actually considering moving there or buying a property because they want to be closer to the lake or the golf course. What are we looking at as far as the cost of housing?
Yeah, I don't have the exact number, Ron, but if you look online, you'll notice that you're going to get a lot more house for your dollar. It's a beautiful, like I said, beautiful community, and you just the price of real estate is lower in some of these smaller communities, and so you will get a more of a house for a smaller dollar.
Awesome. Let's talk about camping, Mike. Nipawin's also got a regional park.
Yeah, it's a beautiful regional park. It's only a couple kilometers outside of Nipawin. It's a ton of space. I believe 300 acres of space out there, and there's a petting zoo. There's a restaurant, store, an amazing little splash park. It's fantastic. Lots of camping sites, electrified and otherwise. If you're more into the backcountry, there's hiking trails out there, boat launches, trout pond for the kids. Wonderful. Which is awesome. You know, you're learning to fish, teaching the kids to fish, and you don't have access to a boat. It's beautiful. Just fish right there. So yeah, it's a great spot. Lots of locals and tourists as well spend time at that park.
All right, so the previous six have pretty much convinced me that Nipawin's a great place, but let's cap it off with number 7. And I think one thing about this, it's really important for parents moving anywhere that they want to know that there's going to be activities for their kids, that, you know, there's something for them to do post school, after school. So let's touch on the recreational opportunities in the town.
For sure, Ron. Yeah, and I guess I could have almost tied this to amenities, but there's so many opportunities for kids there as well as there are in bigger centers. You've got all your minor sports, hockey, ball, soccer, you name it. And then you got Ukrainian dance. You have the Nipawin School of Dance, which has jazz, ballet, that sort of dance, as well as you got your high school sports, obviously, with football, volleyball, basketball, badminton, all of those. So there's a wide array of sports, but the other nice thing in Nipawin is the pool. We recently got a new outdoor pool there, expanded on the previous pool with a new water slide, and it's just a beautiful facility. Recently, new change rooms. So that facility upgraded. Of course, there's the swimming lessons there, and the Nipawin Lions Swim Club, which I was a part of when I was a kid growing up. And we had many fun experiences traveling to all other small towns and doing the outdoor swimming circuit.
Awesome. So I know you said that you're a transplant, Mike, but going through that list, isn't there a little part of you that said, geez, I would love to go back and be back in Nipawin?
Oh, I definitely miss Ron. There's parts of me that miss Nipawin so much. You know, family brought me to Warman, and that's the most important thing in my life. So, you know, you got to do where your family goes. So.
I don't want to get you in trouble with Danielle. I can just tell that you have a real passion for the community, and it's really great to see.
Thanks, Ron. And I come by it honestly. My dad was the biggest promoter of Nipawin. Anyone that knew him could attest to that he just loved the community, and I do as well.
All right, Mike, I like to ask everyone who comes on the podcast this question. If you could go back to a younger version of yourself and give some advice, what would that advice be?
I think, Ron, that's a good question. I think it would be to, you know, to live your life, have many different experiences. You don't necessarily have to walk into a career right after high school, you know, do your thing and go at your own pace. I think I'm getting a little deep here maybe, but there's a lot of societal expectations that you do certain things in a certain order, but that's not how it works out for everybody, and that's okay. So yeah, that's what it would be. Just live your life, enjoy your life, and kind of do it on your own terms.
I think both you and I would identify that in, I think, maybe finding a career that we really connect with much later in life after we've tried out a few different careers, and understanding that if maybe we would have got stopped somewhere along the line to say, no, I'm just going to continue to do this one thing, that, we would have missed out on this opportunity of being mortgage brokers and it being such a fulfilling career.
Totally agree, Ron. Yeah, that's kind of exactly what I'm going for there. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well
Mike,
said.
if someone is looking for more information on Nipawin, if they're looking for a mortgage from you, how can they get in contact with you?
For sure. I have my website, just mhmortgage.ca. Email Mike at mhmortgage.ca. Keep it fairly simple. And then I actually have my old Nipawin phone number still, 306-276-7605. Never changed it, and I don't think I will now. I do have some clients say, why are you phoning me from White Fox? Because that's what it comes on. It's there now. So yeah, again, 306-276-7605.
If there was any doubt that the roots were strong, you still got the old phone number. Yeah. Awesome. Mike, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your experience and your expertise on Nipawin. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Ron. I'm very happy to help you out. This is awesome. Thanks.
Thank you for checking out this week's episode of the Saskatchewan Real Estate Podcast. If you liked it and found it informative, do us a favor, help us grow the channel by hitting the like and subscribe button. If you're looking for more great content exploring on Saskatchewan real estate, feel free to check out some more of the great videos that we have here on the channel. Until next week, I'm Ron Caroni, your Saskatchewan mortgage professional. Bye for now.